Good evening, and welcome. Tonight, we step back into London in the year 1880, into a time when coal fires warmed the rooms, gas lamps flickered against patterned wallpaper, and even the simplest comforts of home demanded effort and patience. From the outside, the houses of Victorian London appeared respectable. Long rows of brick terraces with tall windows and tidy doors facing the street. In the early evening, their windows glowed faintly, suggesting warmth and order within. Yet the moment one stepped inside, the reality of daily life quickly revealed itself. These homes were not effortless places of comfort as modern houses are today. Every part of the day depended on work, carrying coal, lighting fires, hauling water upstairs, scrubbing floors, and climbing narrow staircases again and again. Life moved according to a rhythm shaped by the limits of the age. So let us imagine for a moment that we have quietly arrived at one of these homes on a cold London morning in the year 1880. Outside, the street is still and grey beneath a thin, drifting fog. The distant sound of carriage wheels echoes across damp cobblestones, and inside the house, the day is only just beginning. Long before the master of the house wakes, and even before the lady of the household rises, someone else is already at work. In many middle-class Victorian homes, the first person awake is the housemaid. She rises before dawn while the rest of the household sleeps beneath heavy wool blankets. Her first task is one of the most important of the entire day, bringing warmth back into the house. Victorian homes had no central heating. Every room that needed warmth relied on a coal fire burning inside an iron grate. During the night, those fires died slowly to grey ash, leaving the house bitterly cold by morning. The maid moves quietly through the silent hallways, carrying a small bucket of coal known as a coal scuttle. In her other hand, she holds kindling and scraps of paper. One by one, she kneels before the fireplaces throughout the house. Paper first, then thin sticks of wood, then carefully placed lumps of coal. A spark catches. She breathes gently on the flame. Slowly the fire begins to glow again, crackling softly as the coal catches light. The warmth spreads slowly through the room, pushing back the damp chill that has settled overnight. Only once the fires are lit can the rest of the household begin their day. Upstairs, the bedrooms remain cold, far colder than most modern people would tolerate today. Victorian houses rarely kept fires burning in bedrooms, especially on the upper floors where heat from downstairs struggled to reach. On particularly cold winter mornings, frost sometimes formed on the inside of the windows. The beds themselves were heavy wooden frames fitted with thick mattresses stuffed with horsehair, wool, or straw. Heavy wool blankets helped trap warmth during the night, but stepping out from beneath them in the morning required a certain determination. Beside many beds sat an object that was completely ordinary at the time, yet feels strange to modern eyes: the chamber pot. Indoor plumbing was still uncommon in many homes during the 1880s, so the chamber pot served as a nighttime toilet. In the morning, it had to be carried downstairs and emptied into an outdoor privy or waste drain. It was not a pleasant task, but it was simply part of everyday life. Once awake, the household begins its morning washing. But Victorian washing routines were very different from what we know today. Most homes did not have bathrooms with running hot water. Instead, many bedrooms contained a washstand, a small wooden table holding a ceramic bowl and a jug of water. That water had usually been carried upstairs by hand from the kitchen pump or household tap below. Morning washing typically meant splashing cold water onto the face and hands, perhaps using a bit of soap. Full bathing was far less frequent. For many families, it happened only once a week, because the process required heating large quantities of water on the kitchen stove and filling a portable metal bathtub placed near the fire. It was slow, heavy work and required a great deal of fuel. Downstairs, the kitchen has already begun to stir with activity. Victorian kitchens revolved around a large cast iron stove known as the coal range. This single appliance served as both the cooking surface and a major source of heat. But unlike modern stoves, a coal range demanded constant attention. Coal had to be added regularly, ashes had to be removed. Temperature was controlled not by turning a dial, but by adjusting airflow and fuel with careful judgment. Cooking required skill and experience. By the time the family arrives, breakfast may already be prepared. In middle-class homes, this might include bread and butter, eggs, porridge, and of course, tea. Tea had already become a daily ritual across Britain and was consumed several times throughout the day. Working-class families often ate simpler meals, bread with dripping, leftover stew, or a small piece of cheese. The structure of the house itself shaped daily life. Victorian homes in London were usually tall and narrow because land in the crowded city was limited. Instead of spreading outward, houses were built upward. A typical home might have a kitchen in the basement, a sitting room on the ground floor, several floors of bedrooms above, and small attic rooms where servants slept. Moving between these floors meant climbing steep, narrow staircases. Servants spent much of their day carrying things up and down those stairs: coal, water, food, laundry, sometimes dozens of times. Without electric appliances or running systems, every task required physical effort. Lighting inside the home also worked very differently from modern houses. Electricity had not yet reached most homes in the 1880s. Instead, light came from candles, oil lamps, or gas lighting. Candles were simple, but produced only a dim glow and burned down quickly. Gas lamps were brighter, but produced heat and sometimes leaked fumes that made rooms stuffy. Because lighting cost money, families often gathered together in a single room during the evening, rather than lighting the entire house. The result was a warm but dim atmosphere, the walls dancing gently with the flicker of flame. If you paused quietly in the hallway of such a house, you would notice the sounds of Victorian life: the steady ticking of a mantel clock, the crackling of coal in the fireplace, the clatter of dishes from the kitchen below. Outside, the rumble of carriage wheels and the echo of horse hooves along the cobbled streets. Occasionally, a street vendor's voice drifts through the fog, calling out his goods. The house itself carries its own distinctive smells as well. Coal smoke from the fireplaces drifts through the rooms. Cooking fills the air with the scent of roasting meat or boiling vegetables. Soap and cleaning solutions leave a sharp chemical note. And sometimes, the damp breath of London creeps quietly through the brick walls. Keeping the house clean is a constant battle. Coal fires leave soot on furniture and walls. Floors must be swept daily. Rugs are carried outside and beaten to remove dust. Brass fixtures are polished until they shine. Laundry is perhaps the most exhausting task of all. Clothes are washed by hand in large tubs of water, scrubbed with soap, wrung out, and hung to dry. Ironing requires heavy metal irons heated directly on the stove. For households without servants, these chores consume much of the day. Yet, despite the hard work, Victorian homes are also places of family life. The parlour is the most carefully arranged room in the house. Here, visitors are received and the family gathers during the evening. Many parlours contain upholstered chairs, decorative wallpaper, framed photographs, and small ornaments displayed proudly on shelves. Even modest homes try to keep this room tidy, as it reflects the family's respectability. As evening approaches, the household gathers once again near the warmth of the fire. Dinner is usually the largest meal of the day, often consisting of meat or stew, vegetables, bread, and tea. Afterward, the family spends quiet time together. Someone may read aloud from a book, others sew or write letters. In homes fortunate enough to own a piano, music sometimes fills the room. Eventually, the house prepares for the night. Fires are carefully arranged, so a few glowing embers remain until morning. Gas lamps are extinguished, doors are checked and locked. Chamber pots are placed beside the beds once again. Slowly, the house grows quiet. One by one, the lights go out. Outside, London continues its restless life beneath the fog. But inside the house, darkness settles fully over the rooms. Without electric lighting, the night is far deeper than the one we know today. The only glow comes from the fading red embers in the fireplace. The household sleeps, until morning arrives and the cycle begins again. From the outside, these Victorian homes may appear elegant and romantic, but life inside them demanded resilience and constant effort. Warmth depended on coal fires. Water had to be carried by hand. Even simple routines required time and labor. Yet within these walls, families lived their lives, sharing meals, raising children, telling stories beside the fire. And if one were to walk quietly through such a house today, listening carefully in the stillness, it is almost possible to imagine the faint echoes of those lives lingering in the creak of the stairs and the soft glow of a long extinguished hearth.